I'm Louis Moroni, and this is Constraints the Podcast from Hi-Fi Handiwork, a 20-episode series. Each episode is a chat with a guest from a creative industry about a project obstacle they've experienced, viewed through the lens of project management's three constraints of scope, time, and budget. Further insights and commentary can be found in the show notes. We hope you enjoy the program. My introductions on this podcast usually start with a meandering commentary on what defines a creative industry or some discussion of project management methodologies before I finally introduce my guest. But today I'd like to start this episode with a quote from my guest. "Life without challenges is an illusion." Given the premise of the show, I'm almost tempted to stop there and jump right into the interview. But then that would be too far a departure from the scope of how we do things here. That quote, though, "Life without challenges is an illusion," says so much in 6 words. Like I tell my class, I always knew I had done a good job managing a project when, after months of planning an event, I would be on site for installation while the project team mobilized hundreds of install crew and multiple suppliers, and the only things I had to deal with were the unplanned challenges that inevitably came up. Projects, because they happen in life, are constantly presented with challenges, and the best that we can do is set off in a trajectory and keep an eye out for the pitfalls, obstacles, and surprises that remind us that being alive is an active project. In fact, my guest today has embraced life as a project. Born in Haiti and raised in New York City, he has constantly challenged his own trajectory, thoughtfully embracing a life of creativity in the performing arts that brought him to stages singing with vocal icons like Gloria Estefan and Cher, performing in countless Broadway musicals, and presenting his own revue show across Europe. Today, we will discuss the evolving scope of his project of life, transitioning from musical theater actor to self-made drag artist. So, barring any unforeseen technical difficulties, Pierre Alexandre, I'd like to welcome you to Constraints. All right, there we go. Thank you. Well, let's jump right in.
Wonderful.
You
Thank
have
very
an idea of a project obstacle you've experienced, and I'm excited to hear all about it.
Well, it's really hard for me to think of my art or the characters or the role or the mask that we play as artists as a project, but it's a ever-ending project, which is called life. And I've been very fortunate that these lines have been blurred. The obstacle is, I guess, as a child, we notice that that play is becoming work. So we go into art, creative art, and we go perform. And then we realize that we need to put on a persona or a character. As musical theater, I played everything from a killer to an hyena in Lion King. So I played so many different characters. Then after a while, I realized, okay, it's hard to tap into, because I'm really a method actor. So I really like to live the character. So I've basically decided after about 20 years of musical theater that I wanted to create my own character. So I said goodbye to Pierre and delved right into makeup and heels. I knew nothing about makeup because, for musical theater, normally there's a makeup artist that basically do our face. So I had to learn all that in front of the camera and drag race in Holland. And so after succeeding, after 5 or 6 years, I realized that Pierre was all the time a mask. I already knew that Love Masisi, the character, was a mask, was a role that I was playing. But then I never realized that Pierre was also a role. And now,
Hmm.
after playing from one extreme character to another, I realized that the true identity was Pierry, which was my name until I left to college, because my whole family always called me Pierry, and so everybody knew me as Pierry. But then, well, Pierry was always my name. It was nobody ever called me Pierre. It was only, I guess, if I was in trouble, they would
Where did
call me
Pierry come from?
Pierre. Then I knew something was wrong. But Pierry was always, because I was always the clown in my family, so I always sang different roles and played around and sang. So I was always the clown, and Pierry, which is like a laughing rock. Pierre is, so it was just my name. But then no. But then no, yeah. But then as I left the house and went to college and just and the teachers called me Pierre, and I had to be Pierre, the performer, and
Oh,
I
interesting. Okay,
completely
so
forgot
let me
about
unpack that
Pierre.
a little bit because if we're going to talk about project management, and if project, life is a project. So really, your scope. Now it's just like, oh, here we're gonna. But okay, so your I'm going to say persona,
Hmm.
but really your scope, as Pierre changed.
Hmm.
Not even changed. You put on a mask, Pierre.
Hmm.
You've experienced life as
Yes.
in the performing arts, and now you've donned another mask as Love Masisi, and it is a mask. So Pierre is still in there. So do you think that rediscovering Pierre has now given you a little bit of a superpower to be able to put on different masks?
Yeah, I guess. I guess. I mean, as I was preparing for this talk, I really wanted to dig deep, and this is pretty new. This is a revelation that basically showed itself 2 days ago. So this is very new. So this is fresh news. This is very exclusive.
Oh. Well, this is an exclusive. So, okay, so time and money are the other constraints. So far, you had a career in the performing arts. You were making a living, and in
Yes,
terms of time, our only within life, our only we have one main end time, but
of
also
course.
there comes a time when you want to retire, or your body can't do what it used to do. So there is a bit of a bit of a time limit. So you've done a full pivot now at this stage in your career. Do you see Love Masisi as sort of the last of your projects, or now are you imagining that you don't know what the end game is?
Well, I think Pierre was always about playing. And this is what we do as an actor. We play. We play, whether we play with putting on a wig or we play with an instrument. We're players. And so I think after a while, the actor Pierre forgot to play. It was about making money. It was about uh, having the best role and portraying this persona, whatever the role required. And after a while, I lost that spark. At the height of my career, I thought, wait a minute, I'm not enjoying this. So that's why I went into maybe creating my own role. That's where Love Masisi came in. Love Masisi, I basically have done Love Masisi for 5 or 6 years. And I'm really at the height of my career again for the second time. And then I'm realizing that, wait, that this is not me. There's that play. I think Love Masisi forced me to play.
Uh-huh. But now the play is are you saying that the play is not as playful anymore?
The play is playful, but it's not constrained to the character of Love Masisi. So eventually, I am a player. I'm an actor, and Love Masisi is a persona, and so it's very difficult for actors to find who they are within the fan, because sometimes your fan base sees you as a character when they fell in love with you. So it's really hard for you to 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 be a player.
So part of being a performer is you need people to perform too. And as you sort of don new masks, you either need to bring that audience with you, or you need to build a new audience. How is that how did that transition work for you?
It was financially very difficult because, of course, being a musical theater performer, you have a year contract. You have a client that you are make sure that you're ready to perform whatever role they offer to you, that you have to audition for. Creating Love Masisi is your own persona, and then you have to go and find the public. You have to find the fandom. They have to find you, and then basically you're just constantly representing that character all the time.
And that's a new process for you, the finding your own audience as opposed to being in a scenario where the audience is coming to see the production that you're in.
Yes, it's definitely a new challenge. It's a blessing and a challenge. Blessing is that because this character or this persona was born on TV, on online, you and the age of social media now, so you have a huge followings that basically know your name. So, and that I never had as a musical theater performer, because basically you're playing a role, so you're more a role rather than a persona. You're an actor who's playing a role rather than a persona.
What year was the shift?
The shift was right before the pandemic.
Okay, people
Mhm.
know. People know. So so what was your entry into this world? What was your introduction?
My introduction was when I was as I was growing up, and as a teenager, I've moved from Haiti to America, and while I was in America, I was bullied a lot, but in Haiti also, because of maybe being a bit flamboyant, so they called me my sissy. And I think this my sissy, every time I heard that name, I was cringing. So it was like the worst thing you could call me. So I was doing everything to go against that character. So then Pierre was born. The stage performer, the masculine stage performer. And then I think when I was 40 years old, which is a
Pierre,
long time,
the
I thought,
performer, the
okay,
stage performer.
what do
Yes.
I want to do for
Yeah.
the next chapter of my life? Why don't I quit everything and do what I fear the most? My sissy. So then I decided to call myself the name that I hated the most, and just wanted to make a twist to it. So online, when you now Google my sissy, you'll see me rather than a lot of bullies and hatred over queer
Oh,
people.
interesting. Good job.
So
That's like,
yeah.
was it, did you anticipate that?
No, I didn't anticipate that, but not many people are called Masisi. So online, it was really a cursed name, and you basically saw it. If you Google Masisi, you just saw a bunch of there's also a president in Africa that is also called Masisi, and there's an island also called Masisi. But then everything else was a hatred.
So now, if I can interject with some project management, if you had done a risk register in advance of becoming Love Masisi and listed all of the negative and positive risks that could come out of this transition, it would have been interesting if you had put, a positive
Yes,
risk
yes.
might be that the term Masisi
Hmm.
takes on a positive
Yes.
positive twist
Hmm.
to it online. That's a great unanticipated outcome. Speaking of
Outcome.
which,
Hmm.
again, I'm just going to jump into project management. So the real focus on project management today is no longer about
Hmm.
process, but it's about outcome. When when
Hmm.
you're creating a project, you really assess what is it that I want to um, achieve, and you just do whatever
Hmm.
you need to do to get there. And your outcome seems to be, I mean, we
Hmm.
said it, it's not
Hmm.
to be Love Masisi, it's not to be a stage performer, it's to play. And it's it's almost like making money is the antithesis of that.
Yes, I mean
Do you imagine?
that was always my rule in life. It was always money and play was always intertwined. If I didn't enjoy it, I will not do it. This is probably when I made the decision to stop with Pierre at the height of that career to transition into my sissy. I'd not only lost um, my steady paycheck and my persona at the time, but also my relationship fell apart because of that too. So I had to start completely from scratch. Friends, everything just completely, yeah, friends just, well, because just people, they just got used to Pierre. They were like, "What are you doing? Are you going to start wearing? Are you going to just transition after a while?" I was like, "No, I'm still," but deep inside, I was
Mm.
always Pierry. I was always playing. This was all play for me. I'm just like, okay, the other part was not fun anymore. Now I want to do something else that is a bit more fun. I
You
want to
stopped stage
play.
performing because you were making money, but it you no longer were having fun, essentially. So now it feels like you've found a happy place with Love Masisi. So if you continue to have fun, but you're no longer able to support yourself, will it be as easy? Well, I don't know if I'm not saying it was easy, but would it be um, as logical for you to change tack again, or do you weigh the playful a bit more than the money, or vice? How does that work?
Well, something amazingly happened about a year ago is that I met a wonderful person and I left. I always say I left Holland to come to America. And a week later, I met my partner and we live up north in a farm. So there was, and while I'm waiting for my papers, I was unemployed. So I had, for once in my life, the time to think. I thought it was suicidal for me to be here, but it's really one of the best things that I've done in my life because they allowed me to have time to process. Because sometimes we get so busy on work producing and and that we forget to look at our lives as performers, see our growth, see how who we are, because eventually the better we are, the better we can play. And so by doing this process, I always wanted to make a one man show that basically talked about my journey. And so throughout this journey is basically the whole story. So basically, I do get to play, and the evolution is not saying goodbye to Pierre, goodbye to Love Masisi. It's realizing that they're all part of Pierry, and that's it. It sounds very logical for me now to talk about it, but it wasn't logical. I basically only saw, because by playing these roles over and over, you only see what the audience sees. So I was playing all this Masisi for so while, for such a long time. I I didn't realize I was playing it because I was I was enthralled and working and achieving and playing, and that I never took a moment to step back. So this moment was actually one of the best things that's happened to me.
I think you kind of had a realization that we should all have. I mean, I now I want to I want to
Yeah.
go up
Hmm.
north to a cottage for a
Yes.
while and just self reflect and think about, is yeah. When I was actually when I
Yeah.
was younger, I was always Louis, and then I decided one day, and I won't tell you why. It's a little
Yeah.
embarrassing, but I decided I was Louis, even though technically my
Yeah.
name's Louis, but people always called me Louis. So
Yeah.
when I think of Louis,
Yes.
I
Yes.
think of my younger self. And it would be interesting to do that sort of self reflective exercise and see if Lewis today has embraced Louis or if I need to reassess what I'm doing. And well, now now I need to leave now. No, I'm
Yeah,
just,
yeah. No, but it's exactly what you're saying. Just that I was thinking. I was the whole time. I was thinking Louis. I was thinking Louis the whole time in French. Yeah, so I immediately thought Louis. Um, and
right.
it's funny.
Well,
It's
and the
just a
French.
name,
Yes,
but
yeah.
the name holds so much power that when somebody calls me Pierre, or somebody calls me Masisi, or somebody calls me Pierry, that's a whole nother, because only the closest people, my family, know Pierry. So that immediately calls on. And if you notice that more and more people outside of you just call you Louis, then you start connecting to that.
Do you wish that more that do you hope or is it your desire that more and more people call you Pierry? Did I pronounce that okay? Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Pierry, yeah, of course. Yes, yes, yes. It's really connects with my
So,
heart.
but if someone random just says it to you, does that still connect to your heart? But they don't have that connection to the name.
It still connects because it no,
Oh,
but they'll get a
interesting.
different
All right.
connection on my
Yeah.
response. Because if you call me Pierre Alexandre, then I know, yes, and then my voice starts changing. If you call me my sissy, I go, oh yes, yes, So it's there is a power with the name because as roles, we always, it's the first thing you have to start connecting is the name that the role that you're playing, but the name. Because when somebody calls you that on stage, you need to have a reaction. So the character comes always from a name. So our names holds a lot of power. And if that's the name that basically has the essence of who you are, then you get the full essence of Louis.
Again, back to project management. It feels to me like the Pierry is
Hmm.
really for you your overriding vision that can
Hmm.
guide all of the moving parts of your life, um, and help guide you through life, your project of life. If you had your realization that you had 2 days ago, was it 2 days ago?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, it
So
was
if you
really
had
two
had your
days ago.
2 days ago realization when you started college, do you think that your career would have been different?
Yes, yes, but I don't believe in um I don't believe in going back in time, only because um Pierre was and I needed to prove to myself I could be Pierre, the same way I needed to prove to myself that I could be Masisi, and only then can I be Pierry. Do you understand?
Yeah, you needed to go through that journey to find Pierry. Yeah.
To find Pierry, because Pierry was still hiding. It was just kind of scared, like, oh, how do I go through life if somebody's, don't, people might not take me seriously, because Pierry was always bullied. It was in a really dark time of my life. So these roles, as we take them, it's basically how do you say that? Uh, Therapy. Every role is a therapy for me. So, so that's how I look. That's how I find roles. It's like, okay, what am I going to learn from this role? How can I really portray this character? Not just taking a role just because, oh yeah, it's I can do this and it pays well, and you know, and that's what gives a uh, uh, the longevity of a career, you know. And that's what keeps me young, because I'm constantly evolving and learning. And you know, I mean, doing Love Masisi, my colleagues are, you know, from 17 to 32. You know, I mean, I could be everybody's father.
So
So
so let's talk about that a little bit. The age group that you perform with
yes.
is much younger. Do you think that your 2-day old epiphany
Hmm.
is going to, like,
Yes.
how is that going to affect your how you interact with your fellow performers?
Well, I think I no, I think it works very well. I mean, I'm
Are you going to are you going to spread the word? Like, are you going to let people know, and are you going to encourage people to, you're going to evangelize a little bit?
yeah, I mean, I basically, in terms
Uh-huh.
of project management, we have to change my whole persona online. So basically, you can Google me and see Love My Sisi. Now it has to be Pierry. So there has to be, I don't even know how to even begin
Oh
with
my
this.
goodness, wait a second. I don't think I even appreciated this. So, but you're going to still do drag.
Yes, but my name would be Pierry.
Oh my goodness. How I think I completely missed this big piece. I
Yes,
understood that
yes.
you you realized that you were Pierry inside, but I didn't realize you were going to change your name. Wow.
Of course. Of course. That's the only way for it to work. It doesn't work any other way.
And does that also, okay, well, this is amazing. Well, I think that this is a fantastic
This is a big project. Yeah.
change that you are making because you truly believe in it, and this is affecting, this
Yes.
affects your whole life.
It affects. Yes, it affects my life, and it also affects a lot of people, a lot of fans, because I think, especially, I find that drag is therapy. Drag is basically the hero's journey for queer people. It's really the hero's journey, because you have to face all your fears and make it on the other side. But you have to know that you're facing your fear. You are not your fears. So that evolution as a character, and I see a lot of colleagues that are basically are they face their fears, but they believe that that's who they are. So that transition, maybe it started with like, I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna do this, but slowly and surely they start believing and seeing themselves only as that character, because the interaction with other people call you that by that name. That's why I said the power of the name is very important. So if everybody calls you all the time, you know, Pierre or Masisi, Pierry is gone, is lost somewhere. And so it's very important that once you realize that eh, all the lessons that I've learned as Pierre and Love My Sisi is always there. So nobody can take that away from me. But the evolution of knowing that I am a player opens so much to me. I mean, now I'm thinking about television. I could be in all these things I never thought about because I wasn't seeing it as a play. So now it opens my whole repertoire in terms of things that I want to do. Maybe you see me in film. There's so many things that this is from 2 days ago.
And this is from 2 days ago.
Yes.
Okay, well, this is amazing. I first of all, Pierre, I love that that through this journey you've actually uh, transformed the meaning of a word online so that people
Hmm.
can embrace the notion of Masisi. I think it's phenomenal that you are so brave to. Well, I don't even know if I'd call it bravery. I think that it feels to me
Yes.
like
Yes.
this
Yes.
is just an obvious truth to
Yes.
you, and moving forward, this is just the next step. So I'm very excited um, to watch you as you continue your journey, and I'm very
Thank you so
appreciative and
much.
happy that you joined me today on Constraints. Constraints the podcast receives resource support from the Alan Slate Radio Institute at Toronto Metropolitan University and is co-produced by Louis Moroney and Mihir Kore. Please subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts to automatically be notified when a new episode is posted. Also, follow us on Instagram at constraints_podcast. Constraints the podcast is brought to you by Hi-Fi Handiwork. Sound advice.